Education all over the world is suffering from the lack of insight. Dozens of millions of school children, students, company employees learn something every day without realizing why. And it's not their fault. When I was 16, I didn't know who I wanted to be. I did well in school, but going to school always seemed like something mandatory and boring to me. I was studying because the grown-ups told me that I had to. And when I grew up and got a job, nothing changed. Now I was studying because my boss told me that I had to. To be frank, I didn't really like my job. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did know it was something else. So I started self-searching through a lot of different courses. And each time I gave up almost as soon as I started because it was too much like school, unclear, confusing, and therefore boring. I think a lot of us have our own graveyard of unfinished courses. This went on until I stumbled upon a programming course. It didn't dump a lot of obscure theory on me. Instead, it gave me an opportunity to do something from the start. And I did it. And then I did another one and another one. And finally something clicked into place. For the first time in my life, I felt great satisfaction from the process of learning. It was the feeling of success, the feeling of it's working for me, the feeling of I can do it. It was incredibly bright. And the more I learned, the more I got to feel these emotions. At first, I was just curious. I felt joy that I got it to work. But later, it evolved into self-identity. I finally realized who I wanted to be. For me, learning turned into necessity. It became deliberate. The paradox is that it could have been any other course instead of programming if it had given me these emotions in the beginning. Because for most of us, emotions are the key to deliberate learning. And when I say emotions, I don't necessarily mean sadness or happiness and so on. I mean emotions in general. Getting joy from new knowledge. Getting eager to learn more. The sense of involvement. Learning more about yourself. Because of these emotions, a person starts associating themselves with their job. Those of you who enjoy what you do for a living will agree with me. You don't work because you have to, but because you want to. Unfortunately, education barely ever addresses involvement. Usually it skips it and immediately goes to studying. Like, if you don't make it through the course, then you don't need it that bad. Which is partially true, but in that case, we are leaving out a huge chunk of people who are not very motivated at all. This is more than obvious in the corporate education, where often you can't even turn down a course that doesn't interest you. But if you appeal to emotions, it can revolutionize the education. We saw it ourselves when we created our 2-year programming course. We built everything around emotions, and as a result, we got 18% of the students to complete the whole 2-year course. That means that for us, as private course providers, emotional education increased the paycheck. For companies, on the other hand, emotional education leads to insight that can cut the cost on designing and implementing new solutions. Deliberate learning for school children and students let them self-identify, understand who they want to be. That's why emotions in education are so important. And they are important to students as well, because we all really remain children inside. And regardless of our age, job, and position, we need to receive emotions. We need to feel. By the way, this is exactly why education is losing a war for students' attention to social networks. Because to us, education is more often than not is an obligation, while social networks are a territory of freedom. But if you breathe this freedom into education, give students a chance to express themselves, find themselves. If education starts playing by the rules of an entertainment industry, it can beat it at its own game, because education can actually give much deeper emotions. You can start with very basic things. One of the easiest ways to generate emotions is to turn to pop culture. For example, when studying basics of law, you can analyze typical judicial systems using examples from popular TV shows like Game of Thrones, House of Cards, and so on. Or when studying a foreign language, give an assignment to write down subtitles to a scene from their favorite movie. Of course, emotional education doesn't consist of only this sort of tricks. It is designing the course structure that stimulates and sustains interest, that encourages autonomy, that gives space and air for experiments, that allows to make mistakes. We have accumulated a large amount of experience in producing such kind of emotional education, and we would like to share it. So, we have developed a service called Methoductor. It puts educational programs together online, and anybody, even without experience in education, can easily create a course that will emotionally engage the student and teach them how to learn deliberately. And if you already have a course and you are struggling with students' involvement and engagement, Methoductor will help you fix it. You can test it right now. The link is in the description. On top of that, your education type, be it preschool, higher, additional, or corporate, doesn't matter. Emotional education is universal. So, let's begin deliberate learning and teaching using emotions. Thank you.